Can she sing? Where did she go? There she is, Mommy. Thank you, Mom. We're so happy that Henry is working, giving us some chances to have some choices in Georgetown.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and also we have Sharon Melton here. She's also brave enough to give us some choices in Georgetown, which we really need. Okay, for guidelines, each candidate gets 15 minutes to use however they please. They can talk or answer questions however they want to use them, 15 minutes. And I don't even have to tell y'all, so I'm not going to say how respectful you're going to be because I know you are. So our first candidate to speak will be Annie Andrews.
Introduction. This is my first time doing this in Georgetown because y'all are now part of SCO1, so it's nice to meet you all. I am Dr. Annie Andrews. I am a pediatrician and a mom of 3. I live in Mount Pleasant with my 3 kids who are all in the public school system. I decided to be a doctor when I was 4 years old, and I know that because I told my preschool teacher, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor and a mommy with 3 kids. And I am an incredibly goal-oriented person, and I also want to be a senator, by the way. So I'm an incredibly goal-oriented person. That's exactly what I am today. I am a doctor and a mom with 3 kids, and I've worked as a pediatrician in children's hospitals for 20 years now, including 15 years at the Children's Hospital in Charleston, South Carolina. And I love my job as a pediatrician. It actually is the very best job. But when you go to work every day at a children's hospital, you take care of kids who are hungry and don't know where their next meal is coming from. You take care of kids with chronic diseases like asthma or diabetes who don't know where their parents don't know if they can afford their prescription drugs. You take care of kids who are in the throes of a mental health crisis and their parents can't access mental health resources. You see kids who have to spend the night in their hospital room alone because their parents are juggling multiple jobs just to make ends meet. And you see far too many children who have been shot. So after 15 years of going from hospital room to hospital room, taking care of individual patients, as a problem solver, I started to understand that broken policies coming out of Columbia, South Carolina, and coming out of Washington, D.C. were harming our kids and families long before they ever got to me at the doors of the Children's Hospital. So I looked to Columbia for problem solvers. I looked to Washington, D.C. for problem solvers. And you won't be surprised to hear, I didn't find too many folks who were in Columbia or Washington, D.C. fighting for our kids and families. So I got off the sidelines in an incredibly dramatic way, and back in 2021, I ran for Congress in the 2022 cycle against Nancy Mace. And I am deeply apologetic about the outcome of that election for all of us. But as you may know, I didn't go away, obviously. I actually got much louder. And I've been fighting for South Carolina's kids and families every day since I lost that election. I've kept myself busy, still practicing as a pediatrician. I started our nation's first and only political action committee for children. I've been working for Every Town for Gun Safety, our nation's largest gun violence prevention organization. And then I got really involved in the Harris Walls campaign because, like so many of you, I'm sure, we had that really exciting window, summer and spring of hope. And I worked really hard to raise money for them, and I was devastated at the results of the election. So when I picked myself up off the floor, days, weeks later, and I started looking around at what the Trump administration was up to, I got really angry, more motivated than ever, because I'm in this fight for our kids, and everything I ran for last time has grown more urgent now. And probably the most worrisome thing for me as a mom and a pediatrician was the appointment of RFK Jr. to lead our Department of Health and Human Services. I should say RFK Jr. and his brainworm. I don't need to tell you that RFK Jr. is a grifter and a conspiracy theorist and has no business near our nation's healthcare system. And what we are witnessing is a coordinated attack, unprecedented coordinated attack on our nation's healthcare system. From this big, beautiful bill, these cuts to the Medicaid program will devastate and decimate our nation's healthcare system. We are seeing threats to cuts to Medicare and cuts to NIH funding. I know as someone who's worked in hospital systems for my entire career that when you take that much money out of a system, it cannot continue to function. Some people think this is only going to affect patients on Medicaid, patients who, can't be bothered to get a job and just want government handouts. Well, all of you know that nothing could be further from the truth. The Medicaid program is the largest insurer of children in South Carolina. It funds around 50% of the births in South Carolina and 6 out of 10 nursing home beds in South Carolina. And what happens when you rip health insurance away from that many people? They don't have access to primary care. They don't have access to preventative care. And when they get sick, because the thing about it is, people will continue to get sick and injured. When they get sick, they don't have anywhere to go. So they're gonna stay home until they get sicker. They're eventually going to come to an emergency department. And that emergency department, thankfully, is legally required to offer them care. So the patients will receive care, thankfully. The hospital, though, is looking at their budget and they have to find a way to pay for that care. So they're going to start raising premiums for those of us who have private insurance. And in the meantime, before this bill even goes into effect, hospitals are already making hiring decisions because they have this looming budget hole on the horizon. So maybe the local hospital here was going to hire 10 new nurses, now they're going to hire 2. Maybe they were going to hire 5 new respiratory therapists, now they're going to hire 1. And what we're going to see is longer wait times, cut off service lines, decrease in services, and ultimately we're going to see our rural hospitals close. There are 5 rural hospitals in South Carolina that are on the list at risk of closing. All this to say, I believe healthcare will be the #1 issue of this election cycle, and as a physician, I don't think there's ever been a more important time for people like me to step up and run. I'm running against Lindsey Graham because if y'all don't follow me on Instagram, you may not be aware that yesterday I learned an incredibly important fact that Lindsey Graham is an inch shorter than me, y'all. Without heels on. So I have already picked out my shoes for the debate. But I'm running against Lindsey Graham because to me he epitomizes the downfall of the modern day Republican Party. He's been in the U.S. Senate for 22 years, which is half of my lifetime. And the thing about that is over those 22 years, he has devolved from a relatively respectable, bipartisan senator who was willing to work across the aisle to who he is today, which is someone who serves only one man, and that man is Donald Trump. Lindsey Graham's approval rating is 34%, 10 points lower than Donald Trump here in South Carolina. And 2026 is a midterm election year. So Donald Trump is not on the ballot to bail him out like he was in 2020. The other difference between 2026 and 2020 is that was COVID. Democrats couldn't knock doors in 2020. You cannot win an election, you all know this, in South Carolina if you can't go to people's doors and have a conversation with them about the importance of voting. So there's a lot working in our favor. The backlash in 2026 is going to be so much bigger than we saw in 2018 in Trump's last midterm election cycle. People are feeling the pain coming out of this administration in ways that I wish had never happened, but will propel us to a giant blue wave in November 2026. We have seen Democrats win statewide in North Carolina and in Georgia. Some of you met Andy Beshear last week. He is a Democratic governor in the state of Kentucky, which voted for Trump by 30 points. Democrats can win in states like South Carolina, and I am here to prove that that is possible. So I believe in South Carolina. I believe in the kids and families that I've served here for nearly 20 years, and I am not afraid to stand up to bullies like Lindsey Graham, who clearly don't give a damn about us down here in South Carolina. So I'm starting with him, but I won't stop when I get to the U.S. Senate. And I do promise me, I also promise you that if you give me the privilege of being the Democratic nominee, and if you give me the privilege of serving as a South Carolina senator, that I will work harder than anybody, and I will never embarrass you, and I will make you proud. So thank you all so much. I don't think that was 15 minutes. I don't think I could ever talk for 15 minutes.
Do you want to take questions?
Yes, so I would love to take a few questions, recognizing there are some things I cannot say because we are currently in a public library. So, and I don't mean profanities, I mean like political rules.
I've got almost 30 years in public mental health and rural hospitals. And this is an issue, healthcare, that is like probably a primary issue for me. But it's a complicated issue. And so much of what the Trump administration is doing is not going to come into effect until after the midterms. We Americans have thought forever that, we just simply can't afford universal health care, even though we pay more per capita than the industrialized nations, the other 32 that provide it. Right now, we're looking at health care realizing profits of over $25 billion a year. That's what we're up against. And I don't, do we have a plan to communicate that's clear and that people can understand? This is not some big impossibility. I mean, it's extremely possible. It would be far cheaper for us to have Medicare for everyone. But we've got this bias that runs within, the American populace about that, and I think that's a message that's been communicated for decades. How do we combat that?
Yeah, that's my job, that's our jobs between now and the election, because of course strategically these cuts won't go into effect until after the midterms, and then they'll blame Democrats for them.
Rural hospitals will close.
Rural hospitals will close.
I've seen it, I was chairman of the board.
Yes, you know the truth. We're going to do a series of press conferences outside of these rural hospitals that are at risk of closing. It is my job to communicate this to voters in South Carolina about what this actually means for our healthcare system. I already sort of outlined the devastation that we will see, but we have to start thinking bigger. Democrats are always playing defense. We're always picking up the pieces and cleaning up the messes that Republicans leave for us. And it leaves very little time to start to think about what is possible if we build a healthcare system in this country that is patient-centered instead of profit-centered. Because I know and you know that when you provide greater access to quality healthcare, costs across the system go down. So it makes sense to invest in children's health care, and preventative health care, and access to primary care. And that's what we have to start thinking about. And I think everyone is so tired of the divisiveness, and we're so tired of the negativity, and the Trump is bad, and Lindsey is bad, and all of that. We have to say that part, but we also have to tell voters what we're gonna fight for. I've been talking to a lot of people involved in child health policy lately, because we're all terrified and devastated about these cuts to Medicaid. And my silver lining right now is if they truly burn the program to the ground, then that is an incredible opportunity for us to build back something better. Like MediKids, a federalized national healthcare program that provides healthcare access to every minor in this country. Because when you invest in health, in the health of children, they're going to be healthier when they're in the workforce, and they're going to be healthier when they're on the Medicare program. So, but we have to start talking about these things. We need candidates who understand the system and could talk about it in a way that voters can understand, and we can't back down. Republicans have handed us this issue on a silver platter for 2026, and we have to use it, and then we have to build a healthcare system that is more equitable for everyone.
Well, in Michigan, governor who bought into Medicare as an administrator in a public mental health agency, that was a game changer. I mean, all of a sudden, these people are getting, diabetic education, they're getting, their insulin at an affordable rate, they're getting tested early. The bottom line is there's no free lunch. So when they get sicker and they go into the emergency room and it costs, 10 times more, just because they don't have insurance doesn't mean we're not gonna pay.
That's right.
We pay one way or the other.
Yeah, that's right. We have to communicate that effectively so folks understand what the solutions are. We'll be spending a lot of time on the campaign talking about this issue, building it into our website once we build that out and everything. But there's an organization called 314 that their whole goal is to elect more folks with scientific backgrounds, STEM backgrounds. They're specifically focused on electing more doctors, and they have endorsed me. They are supporting me, and I'm one of their priority candidates this cycle because everyone sees the need to have voices like mine in these races. So, yes. Any other questions? 314 as in pie.
If you're going to ask a question, please stand up because the people in the back can't hear the questions.
Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, probably just one more question. Yeah. Yes. You, yes.
I wasn't sure where you were looking. I get a bazillion emails asking for money to donate to candidates. A lot of them are fraudulent, and I'm just asking you to give us an avenue to send you dollars that are not through the emails or not through what we are afraid to use. So if there's a place that we can send a check, that would be great, as opposed to risking our credit cards on the internet.
Yes, so to learn more about every aspect of my campaign, you can go to drannieandrews.com. And there is a P.O. box at the bottom. That's a P.O. box we check every day. And you can reach us there, however you would like to reach us. And there's other things you can do on the website that I'm not allowed to specifically talk about in the moment. But thank you, because I need your support to get this done.
Sylvia Wright next. Sylvia is going to run for the state superintendent of education position. She's got her name This is Carson, right? Carson. Hey, Carson.
And thank you for this opportunity. So my name is Sylvia Wright, and I was born and raised in North Charleston. My dad was in the Air Force, so I was raised around black, white, yellow, brown, red, blue, purple people. But seriously, I was raised among people from all walks of life. But no matter where we lived or what challenges we faced, my parents' belief that education is the key to a better future, it reverberated through our house. We knew that that was their value. That and service before self. I remember the teachers who would stay after school to help me succeed. I remember the counselors who pushed me to dream bigger. That's the reason why I wanted to become a teacher, thinking back on my memories in school. And one thing that I learned is that the kids today, because I was in the classroom for over 20 years, the kids today are different than the way we were taught. So the way kids learn today is different than the way we learned. So that's why my vision for the students of South Carolina is a world-class education that will equip them to compete in a global society. Our kids need to be ready. They need to be ready for college. They need to be ready for trade. They need to be ready for manufacturing. They need to be ready for entrepreneurship. They need to be able to own their own plumbing business and electrical business. And in South Carolina, their own heating and AC business. Y'all get where I'm going with that. Because there's one thing we can't go without in the South Carolina summer is our AC. But this starts with early childhood education. So currently we start at 3 years old. My vision is to extend that to start at 6 months. From 6 months to 3 years old, we're going to build a foundation so that way when they hit pre-K, they have a strong foundation and they can just build on that. The other thing is arts integration and language immersion. They need these programs in every community. I've seen them in certain districts because I've been traveling all over the state, and I've seen what different counties are offering, what counties have and they don't have. But the arts integration and language immersion is one thing that every county should have. And school choice. Our kids need choices, they need options. And so I worked in Charleston County Schools, so that's the example that I use. The kids are able to choose between early college, high school, military magnet, they can go to a performing arts school, but all these programs, these are choices. The current administration, though, has tied vouchers with school choice. And it's very important that we realize vouchers are not the same as school choice. Yeah. Yes. So, like I said with Charleston County, those were choices, those were options. Vouchers, they can exclude kids. First of all, they don't even have to accept children, like with autism or ADHD, is in special education from rural areas. Like they're exclusive, and that's not choice. So my vision for vouchers, if public schools have to give state mandated testing, then if you receive state funding, you have to give that state mandated testing. If public schools have to have certified teachers, then schools that receive public funding have to have certified teachers. If public schools, if they have to enroll all kids, then if you're receiving public fund vouchers, then you have to receive all kids. No matter what school our kids go to, whether it's private, public, charter, they deserve the very best education and high standards. High standards of equity, high standards of quality, and high standards of accountability, no matter which school. So I'll leave you with this. An old wise man once told me the story of the chicken and the pig. Has anyone heard that story of the chicken and the pig? They were gonna cook breakfast for Jesus. So the chicken said to the pig, I have an idea. Let's make breakfast for Jesus. And the pig was like, okay, I'm all in. And so the chicken said, all right, I'll bring the egg, you bring the ham. The pig was like, whoa, wait a minute. You're only required to give a contribution, but I'm required to make a commitment. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the difference between a contribution and a commitment. And I'm committed to becoming your next state superintendent of education, and I'm asking that you commit to helping me get there. There's certain things that I can't say because we're in this public space, but my website is Wright2026sc.com, so you can go on the website and look around, and my P.O. box is also on the website, and ways to reach out to me. So now I'll take some questions because I know I have some time left. Okay, so if you don't mind standing up, go ahead, stand up, sir.
You talk about a world-class education.
Yes,
In the
sir.
state of South Carolina. In New Jersey, teachers get $20,000 more than teaching in South Carolina comparative experience. I just heard today that you can teach in South Carolina without a teaching degree. Where are we going with that?
Right.
In addition to that, a couple of years ago, I had several hundred children's books that I wanted to donate to a local school in my district. Librarian said, I can't take the books. These are brand new books, straight from the publisher, never used. I said, how come? The State Commissioner of Education has a policy where schools cannot accept donations for fear that something might be in the book that might irritate them. We got a lot of problems here. So my question to you is, how are we going to overcome what I consider to be a horrible situation in South Carolina?
Okay, so you hit on three different things. I think the first one was the teacher pay. So there is active movements to increase teacher pay. The issue with that is, yes, they raised it to $50,000 starting, but they have not supplied districts with the money to actually make those Those raises, yes. The other issue that I have that people don't hear about is the classroom to aid. Have you guys heard of that assistance, that funding? They passed funding, new funding for, it's called classroom, aid to classroom, that's what it's called. And when you hear that, you think that it's going to the classroom, right? Maybe to help support the teachers in the public education system, right? You would think that. $1,500 per kid is going to charter school. $30 per kid is going to the public school. Yeah, so superintendents, not the state superintendent of education, the local superintendents called attention to that. So because they all, a lot of them got together and called attention to that, they're gonna rework it. And the latest rework was 55% goes to charter schools and 45%. Yeah, so So that is the current agenda though. My agenda would be different. So to answer that as far as, making sure we have the funding to pay our teachers, making sure we have the funding to support our classrooms, it wouldn't be so much focused on the charter schools. So I would definitely rework the budget. I had another question about the budget. How would I do that when I have to work with legislatures? So let's say we don't take the House and the Senate and I'm gonna have to work with Republicans. And independents, we all have to work together like Dr. Andrews said, because it's gonna take all of us. We can't work in our silos anymore. We can't say, oh, I'm not working with that person because they're a different party. It's gonna take all of us. So there is language in the budget, because I did look through the education budget proposal that the current superintendent has, and there is a way the language is very vague. So I say that to say, the things that I want to accomplish to help improve our system, I can do that, because it's already written in the budget, vaguely, if that makes sense. And then you had what was your, book bans, thank you. So right now that regulation, right now that regulation, as you guys know, they can take it to the state level. The state decides which books can be banned for the entire state. So what I want to do is push that back to the local districts. I spoke to a student, because I've been traveling around, like I said, speaking to all types of groups. I spoke to high school students who are very active, and they went to their superintendent and expressed their concerns about the book ban. And so she told them, well, we're not even discussing it on the local level. They just sent it straight to the state. Because I guess they feel like if the local does something, the parent, all they have to do is go to the state and override them anyway, so they're just skipping that step. So they feel powerless, basically, is what I'm saying. So I want to push that power back to the locals, because every community is different. What you guys want in your community might be different than what other people want in their communities. So that's my plan for the book bans and all of that. So push it back, making it local. Local decisions. Any other questions? Oh, you had a third one. What was that was it? Okay. Thank y'all for keeping me straight. Any other questions? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I actually have a question. When we're talking about the playing field being even, what will you propose to do as far as the charter schools, private schools, our public schools? I worked for the public school system for 33 years, and I saw parents come in and praise, oh, my child went to a private school, they're so accelerated, they'd come in and they'd be way below our levels. But they don't have the same field, is what I'm saying. Or if you've got a child that needs resource services, any outside help, the charter school can say, well, I'm sorry, you don't qualify, or we're full at this time. What can we do to start, if they want to accept funds and take funds from our tax dollars, then everybody should have to play by the same rules. And I agree with the testing thing. I see that happening, but they would always sing praise about these other schools. Well, you get to pick and choose the students that you're teaching.
That's right.
And yes, you're gonna look great,
you know, when mom doesn't mind spending $30,000 a year for your, you know, child's education. I just want to see something done about it being across the board fair.
Yes, ma'am, and that would be with regulation, and that's my goal. I know there were people in the House that tried to push certain amendments to, you know, regulate the charter or whoever received the voucher funds. So that's the fight that I'm gonna take up, because the current superintendent didn't take up that fight, because of course the agenda is charter and private, but I'm gonna take up that fight, so. Any other, oh yes ma'am.
You mentioned early childhood education, which is, you know, interest of mine, and you're talking about 6 months, you know, on board. How would that work under your superintendency, whatever?
Okay, thank you for that question. So I actually met with, are you guys familiar with Ruby's Kids?
Yes, that's the founder.
Oh, who's the founder? Oh my gosh! It's a pleasure. I can't wait to like shake your hand. Oh my goodness. So yes, so I spoke with the founder of Ruby's Kids, and we actually had a great conversation about programs that South Carolina already had to help assist with like 6-month development, to help assist parents in the house, to help assist child care workers, to help increase the knowledge, build that foundation, so that way when they start, you know, in 3rd grade, they know numbers, they know colors, you know, those basic foundation things. Because at 3 years old, learning that, they're starting, that's too late, basically, is what I'm saying. So just looking at the data from the Institute of Early Childhood Education and talking to early childhood daycare facilities, because I actually spoke to someone who owns a daycare facility who implements the program with her kids starting at 6 months. And my grandson actually goes to that school, even though it's Foundations of Learning, and she wants her own like entrepreneur. She wants to be an entrepreneur, have her own service. But what she does is she basically is doing what she would do if it was her own business. And so my grandson can count to 10. He can identify colors. He's even saying sentences. Yesterday we were at the beach, and he wanted something, and he said more. And these are the things that she's teaching the kids from 6 to 3 years old. Yes, sir. Okay. So we can build a strong foundation starting at 6 months to 3 years old. I've seen it with my own grandson. So that's what I plan to bring for all kids. All kids deserve that. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So cool to have the founder of Miss Ruby's Kids here. And now we have Kathy Redwine, who's going to run against Lee Hewitt.
Okay, this is a really, really hard act to follow with both of those. I am relatively new to all of this. I've only recently really announced my candidacy, and tonight is actually my first night speaking to a large group. So please forgive me, as I'm probably gonna use my teleprompter so that I can get through this and make sure that I say all these things, but I only hope to be as good as Sylvia and Dr. Annie sometime soon. You guys are amazing and so inspiring, and I'm so thrilled to be able to share the stage with you guys. Speaking of, I want to take a moment to recognize somebody very special to me. She is not here, but my mentor and dear friend, Molly Barker. She is the founder of Girls on the Run. Molly and I have known each other for probably 30 years. I knew her before she started Girls on the Run, and she has always inspired me, always, to use my voice, to trust my strength, and to never forget that we as women carry a power that too often goes unacknowledged or underestimated. She taught me about something called the girl box, that set of unspoken rules society places on women and girls. Rules that tell us to be quiet, be small, and be polite, and not to take up too much space. But look around this room tonight. This is what it looks like when we step out of the girl box, when we decide that it's time to speak up, time to run, and time to lead. We are standing here owning our space as women, not with apology, but with purpose. I'm a mom of two amazing kids, Grant and Kaylin, and they are here tonight. And my incredible, fabulous husband, Chad. My family has been nothing but supportive as I've stepped into this campaign. And it wasn't really an easy decision because of the environment that we live in. But when they said, yes, do this, Mom, we've got your back, that is powerful. Professionally, I'm a mental health therapist, and I've been serving children, families, and adults in private practice in Georgetown County for over 13 years. I've sat with people in their darkest moments. I've listened to stories of struggle, hopelessness, and survival. And while I can offer a space for people to be heard, validated, and respected, I've also realized something else. Sometimes the most powerful way to help is to change the system that's failing people in the first place. In 2024, suicide was the second leading cause of death for kids ages 10 years to 14. Second leading cause of death. Like, why are we not talking more about that? So what does it tell us about where we rank young people's emotional well-being? About how we are or are not supporting them? 50% of the children in our district are on Medicaid. 50% of the children in our district are on Medicaid. That means half of our under 18 population depends on public insurance for access to basic care, including mental health care. So imagine what happens when those benefits are cut, when Medicaid is rolled back, and SNAP benefits, food stamps disappear. What happens? Parents get stressed, and who feels it? Who feels it in the house the most? The kids. The kids are already stressed. They have enough stuff going on. And the stress doesn't just stay at home. It shows up in the classroom, in their relationships, and in their ability to focus. So here's the thing. Kids' behaviors, they don't happen in a vacuum. They happen in the environment that they're living in, of the supports or lack of supports surrounding them. COVID made everything worse. The rates of anxiety and depression among children have skyrocketed, and we see that everywhere. And we're nowhere near where we need to be in terms of response. So our district that we mostly live in, District 108 is the district that I'm running to serve in. We have 2 hospitals, and guess how much psych we have in those hospitals? 0. So if I have a child that comes in with a mental health crisis, where do I send them? So that's an incredible liability for any mental health therapist, which I know that there are several of us in here tonight. And we might send them to MUSC, but then what happens if a family can't afford gas money to take their child that wants to die to MUSC? We tell them, remove all the knives, make sure that the child is safe, take their door off, make sure they sleep with you. That's not sustainable. We need a better plan in our district so that our children feel and can be kept safe without having to drive 2 hours to get some help. So mental health is health, period. This is attached. And when we ignore it, it shows up in physical illness, in school dropouts, in substance abuse, and in suicide rates. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. Is anyone familiar? It's a phenomenal book, and it just talks about, it's Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, and it talks about how our bodies remember what our minds try to forget. So our bodies store the stress, the trauma, the anxiety. So if we don't start talking about the fact that our head is attached to our body, we're only gonna find ourselves with, hopefully not, but suicide being a higher leading cause of death. We can't allow this to continue, and our children deserve better. So, where has our voice been the last 10 years? Our current representative in District 108 has run unopposed for the last 5 election cycles. That's right, 10 years. 10 years with no challenger, no alternative, no choice. That's not democracy, that's complacency. So right now, the South Carolina State House is made up of 88 Republicans and 34 Democrats. That's not balance. That's a silencing of a huge portion of our state's values, needs, and concerns. So it's not just that the imbalance is political, it's practical. It means bills that help families, help workers, help children, they're stopped before they ever even see the light of day. So I ask myself, if not me, who? And if not when, not now, when? Might as well give it a shot, right? That is so nice, and I'm gonna need so much of that. Because I'm pretty sure that what I've heard about Mr. Hewitt is that he is very nice, and people love him, and he was Legislator of the Year this past year. But I absolutely believe that we can flip this seat. So are we gonna do this? Are we gonna get Dr. Andrews in? And are we gonna get Sylvia in? I'd say that this is pretty successful. I think that we've got a lot of great energy, great power in this room. And I thank you guys so much for giving me the space to be here tonight and to get this party started. It really wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Do you guys have any questions for me? Yeah.
My suggestion is really just to list, Mr. Hewitt is a very nice man, but list all the things he's voted for.
As in?
As in permitless carry,
Right.
you know, no abortion healthcare for
Right.
women, etc.
I mean, and that's one of the things that I have heard is that that there's not much of a backbone. It's just kind of like, you know, swaying with the wind, and we're not going to do that because we have purpose and intention. So thank you. That's a wonderful, wonderful suggestion. Anybody else? Yeah, the man in blue.
Man in blue, that's me.
Wake America.
First of all, thank you for being here. I very much encourage you in what you're doing. Secondly, just to agree with everything you said, but also I think it's important that people are aware that, you put it yourself, mental health is health. We should not be treating it as a weakness. I mean, I've seen in members of my own family, people who have encountered that reaction. It's the, oh, You're suffering from mental health issues. Pull yourself together.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We need to move forward, and I think it's great, we got 3 great candidates here today. I'm actually also working with John Vincent. Here's some consistent messaging here, so thank you.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you for that. I actually, I'm a play therapist as well, so I work with kids as young as 3, and one of the things that I truly believe is that every child needs a pediatrician, a dentist, and a therapist. Definitely remove the stigma. I mean, it would be a place to start, so thank you so much. Yeah.
Having had a family member, a young family member, 14, with very severe problems, she was suicidal. What my daughter, her mother, ran into was problems with the insurance. Do you have any concept of what can be done to get insurances to be more kind?
I'm really glad you brought that up, because I do think when it comes to insurance that is something from a legislative standpoint that we have to look at, because so let's say Medicaid gets rolled back and there won't be any Medicaid for our young people to get mental health assistance. That's 50% of this district that won't have any option of how to get services. Unfortunately, I don't have any better resources to help the insurance piece. And the only thing that I do know is that Marketplace has really good insurance when it comes to mental health care. That is one thing that surprised a lot of people, that they thought that it would be worse, but maybe that would be something for her to look into.
The Affordable Care Act made that a requirement.
Yeah, oh, thank you. So that might be a place for her to start. But you're right, and a lot of therapists are very limited in the number of insurance panels that they can be on, because if there's one provider on Cigna, then they feel like that's enough for an entire county, which is ridiculous. But sorry, I don't have any better information on that, but I will keep thinking on that. Anything else? Yes.
Are you getting support on any candidates from the DNC, because you need money? Lindsey Graham's got deep pockets, as bad as he is, and all of you haven't had, I mean, in that district that you're in, they haven't had a candidate in 10 years, that's awful. And the DNC needs to really get behind you guys.
I agree.
I'll just say something real quick. That is a great question. The best way for us to get national resources into South Carolina is for South Carolina candidates to put up big fundraising numbers. My campaign raised $1.2 million in the first 4 weeks. And that's how you get national attention. And that's not from big, fancy, rich lawyers in Charleston. That's 38,000 people donating $31. That's our average donation size. So the way to get National Democratic Party to pay attention to my race and to Sylvia's race and to your race is for our local support to do everything they can to support us so we can get to that level.
Thank you guys so much. I so appreciate the love.
Thank you so much to our candidates for making the effort to come here, because little old Poison, South Carolina is not exactly, the center of the universe, so thank you. Thank you for coming out. Okay, it is, but don't tell anybody. Let's see. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, August 19th at 6 o'clock right here. We'll send you more about the next meeting, but we're planning it now. Does anybody have an announcement or anything that they want to make for any reason? Yeah, go ahead, Courtney.
Hi, I just wanted to let you know, it hasn't been put out yet, but we are attempting to put a protest together in Myrtle Beach at Chapin Park on August 2nd. And it would be from 10 until noon, so, we try and put everything up on Mobilize. So if you would look, go to Mobilize and just search for activism in your area, you should be able to find it there. And of course, Indigo always does a great job of cross-advertising too, so just wanted to let you know. Great.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Yep. We got an email yesterday, I think, and I'm sure a lot of the rest of you did, from
Indivisible.
the national group. Going to go put billboards up about Epstein. Well,
About what?
Epstein.
Epstein. Oh.
yeah. That sounds exciting. It sounds sexy. You know what? There were enough issues here tonight by the three candidates that far outweigh the Democratic's ability to win over a lot of people. And it's not the Epstein billboards.
Thank you.
What I would suggest, I really don't know how to, I sent a response back, but I haven't gotten any response.
Right, right.
But if you or anyone else in the room can communicate to the national group,
Yeah,
forget the damn billboards about Epstein.
right,
There are tons of
right.
information that the people of America need to have on billboards
Right.
by Invisible.
I agree with you. That's good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm just gonna counter it really quickly that, I don't think that Epstein is the biggest issue, but I do think that this is breaking them apart and starting to separate them from. So, in echo chambers and only listening to Fox News and looking at Truth Social, they may not know how much the House just, went to recess, whatever it's called. Yeah, they left a week early because, Mike Johnson saw that his Republican Party was starting to split apart. So I do think that at least telling your neighbors and maybe Fox Newsers, hey, this is what happened.
Go ahead.
I have a question regarding Act Blue. I get information mail from Act Blue all the time. Now, if I give money to Act Blue, is Dr. Andrews gonna get the money?
I don't know.
How does that work?
If you give it to my campaigns through Act Blue, I get 99% of it.
Oh, you do? Okay, so they're on the up and up.
They're on the up and up.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I just wanted to
Act Blue is good.
If I was gonna give my money, that she got.
She gets it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We got Indigo Indivisible got an email yesterday from Upstate Indivisible, and they are trying to get together a group to counteract the idea of having an alligator Alcatraz in South Carolina. So if you're interested in that, we'll send out an email about that, because I want those people from the upstate to come talk to us. Maybe they can come to our August meeting. That's kind of what maybe I'm thinking. But anyway, it's very now oriented. I think it needs to be addressed right away, this idea.
And according to the poll, MAGAs are not crazy about alligator Alcatraz.
Okay, that's good.
So we may be able to make some inroads there.
That's good to know, yeah. Yeah. Yes, yeah, I can send it out. We can send it out.
Correct one, so we're sending it to the right place, to the right place.
Sure. Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. We can do that. Yes. Okay. She was just asking if we could put all of their emails on an email out to you, all of their websites in an email out to you, and we can do that. Yeah. if you haven't got your email address yet, you can give it to us on the way out here. We're still taking email addresses anytime that you want to give them to us. So that's all we have for now. Let's see, I appreciate everybody that helps us put the chairs back. I just asked you to leave the first 5 rows. There's supposed to be 50, we're supposed to leave 50 chairs up front. Don't take those away. But if you want to help put the chairs on the dollies, it's 25 chairs per dolly. But that, only if you want to, you don't have to. But thank you very much for coming.